What's up, Kings? We're back for another episode of the Comeback Kings podcast. I am your host, Aaron James. Today, we're going to do a little bit of something different. Typically on this show, I've got guests and we're interviewing them about their comeback story. But today, there's no guests. There's no interviews. It's just going to be me and you here, okay? And I wanted to take a step back and kind of share something personal with you, a story that really helped shape why this movement even exists today. Because before there was a podcast, before there was merch, before there was a network, there was a moment for me. And that moment really broke everything inside of me. It tested me and forced me to really have to deal with some things and to rebuild from scratch. And that's really where the whole idea of Rise, Rebuild, Reign was even born to begin with. So we're going to get into that here today and what the Comeback Kings movement is all about. And we'll do that right after this.
You are now locked in for the Comeback Kings podcast. Let's go!
All right, fellas, listen up. I'm about to let you in on a little secret that could save you thousands of dollars every single year. Why keep spending big money every month just to watch your favorite shows and sports, especially when there's Renegade TV? I used to pay monthly for YouTube TV, Prime, Netflix, Disney Plus, and because I couldn't catch my favorite teams locally, I had to drop even more money on NFL Sunday tickets, NBA League Pass, MLB TV. It was sickening. Then I found Renegade TV. One device, one low price, and you get live access to every major sports league, NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, you name it, you got it. You also get all the newest releases and thousands of movies and shows on demand. No subscriptions, no monthly fees, no hidden fees, just one setup and you're set. So now I'm saving hundreds of dollars every month and easily thousands every single year. So go to streamrenegadetv.com and use code CBK2025 to save $50 at checkout. Okay, we're back. Let's get right into it. By now, most of you know parts of my story, whether it's from my book or from snippets from emails that I've sent to you. So I'm not going to get into too much of that here today. I'm sure there'll be a time and a place where, we talk about the entire story, when that comeback is complete. But for today, I want to focus on the totality of the experience, really, and how this has shaped everything that we're doing here with the Comeback Kings Network. Okay, so 2024 was a rough year for you, boy. I'll just say that right up front. And when I say rough, I mean, I still have a difficult time thinking about some of these things that I'd gone through. But in April of 2024, my wife and I separated and began this path towards divorce. And I left the home that I'd known for the past 8 years and the life that I've been building with her and my bonus son for those 8 years. And, when you're married, and this is something everybody denies, but it's almost always true. When you're married, things change, right? Things change due to circumstances. Things change in conformity. You change from age and experience, and you change due to your responsibilities. And in my case, when all this stuff started happening, the reality of having this fresh start was really sad to me, and I'm not going to deny it. And I felt like I didn't even recognize this person that I'd become along the way that was even forced to have to looking at rising and rebuild all over again. And so all of a sudden my identity was in question, at 45 years old, my identity's at question. You know what I mean? I was very clear on who I was when I got married. And then, I was very clear on who I became on the day we got married, right? I became a bonus dad and a husband on the same day. But that's kind of how it'd been for the past 8 years. And so all of a sudden I had none of that. I didn't really have any legal right to this bonus son that I'd been raising for the past 8 years. And I was no longer going to be a husband.
Don't forget, the conversation continues inside the CBK mobile app. This is the premier community for content, conversations, and resources, all built to help our Kings get back on track. Inside the app, you'll get exclusive after-show clips, direct access to podcast guests, and insider interviews with industry experts on everything from health and wealth to relationships and spirituality. You'll also unlock member-only deals designed for the needs of real men. plus tools and training to fuel your personal comeback. Come network with fellow kings from around the world and be a part of the global movement, helping men rise from setbacks and rebuild a life that they're proud of, with purpose, strength, and community. Join the movement now. Download the free Comeback Kings mobile app at cbknetwork.com. So the big question for me was, okay, so if you don't have any of these titles or these responsibilities anymore, who the fuck are you? Right? And what do you want to do? And I didn't know. I didn't know. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation like that before, but it doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be any long time situation that you've been in, maybe a job, a health challenge, financial situation, but it's a tough reality to get used to. But one thing I did know, I was not a fan of where I was in life, right? That was clear. And I knew that it had been a long time coming. And one of my very first friends and mentors in life and in business was this guy named Jeff Olson. And he used to always say that what happens to us is not the result of one event. It's the culmination of disciplines or errors in judgment compounded over time that create that result. He called it the slight edge theory. So I subscribe to that theory, even though, if I forget it from time to time. But I knew this was not going to be an easy hill to climb over to get back on top. And for me, that was the freeing thing about it, right? Because I knew this wasn't about her. I knew this wasn't about the end of our relationship, my job, or anything else. Like, this was about me. And with that in mind, I knew I was going to have to slow down, right? I knew I was going to have to take inventory of what I liked and what I didn't like about my current situation and what I wanted the future to look like. And I got to tell you, like, if you haven't done this recently, you should, okay, for your own sanity, right? Even before shit hits the fan. As I'm telling you, like, your friends that will try to help you by making excuses for you so that you feel better, but that's temporary. The only way to feeling different is to have a vision of who you want to be and what you want to do. And so this isn't a religious podcast by any means, but I'm also not ashamed to admit that I am a Christian, and my reconnecting and recentering involves trying to hear what God wants me to do. And I'm not always great at hearing it, but I do try. And I believed God has a purpose for me. And I wondered if I'd either strayed too far from that path or if this was all part of the plan all along for me. And so one of my favorite places to talk to God is on a road trip, like solo road trips. I can get a lot of clarity without interruption. So I'm on this road trip, and I remember all I could think about is what I was doing in the past, what I liked, what I wanted to be doing in the future. And then came the biggest issue. Like, after I'd figured all this out, I had no clue how to get started going down this path again. So I started searching for help, like resources, support groups, or just anything that could help me to jumpstart this journey back, towards a comeback, right? And I couldn't find anything for men. I couldn't. Now, there's plenty of stuff out there for women. They love support groups. They love emotional connections, and they love to cheer each other on. Men, not so much, right? I mean, maybe it's because we think that it's not manly enough, or guys don't do that, or guys don't cry. We press on no matter what's happening. Well, guess what? That ain't it. That ain't it, right? I mean, like, how's that been working out for us? Trying to handle everything on our own. I mean, I already know the answer, right? Men were less healthy, less ambitious, and less focused than ever before. Our suicide rate is at an all-time high. If you've been listening to this podcast, you've already heard from one successful king who said he was battling depression at the height of, or, when he was doing very well financially, he's still battling depression, and said the pressure of all of that made him understand that more of why somebody might consider taking their own life. And I'm sure that won't be the last time we hear a story like this on podcast, but, what about another huge portion of people out there that have given up, but haven't taken their own life? They're just waiting, seemingly resolved to this fact, like, it is what it is. Well, I can tell you, like I said, this was not working for me. I was wound tight. I was triggered by almost everything, and I had zero good energy in my soul at all. But if you asked me how I was doing at this time, I would tell you I was doing fine, right? And I'm so thankful for my guy Wiz, the spiritual chiropractor, who has never allowed me to talk shallow with him. In fact, he's always spoken life and energy into me. And I actually can't wait to introduce you to him on this podcast or inside of the app. He's been a great friend of mine for a long time and an inspiration on my journey, because it turns out like I was not fine. Okay. But I say all that to just say, you know, I'm doing more research on this, trying to figure out what to do. The more I realize that there's a void out there for resources for men needing to bounce back. And I'm not saying that there's nobody that's out there to help. I'm just saying for us, you know, hard-headed men, the signs aren't always bright enough for us to see them clearly. So I couldn't find support groups that fit me, you know, like I'm not trying to overcome an addiction. I'm not trying to go to therapy by myself. So what is there out there for me? But in this research, I came across a term that I'd heard millions of times before, but never really cared to learn or focus on. And, you know, when I stumbled upon this, it changed everything. And that concept is called emotional intelligence. In essence, emotional intelligence, or EQ, as the cool kids call it, simply means recognizing, understanding, and managing your emotions. And it was clear from everything that I was learning that EQ was not only something to pay attention to, but it's also the catalyst and almost a de facto prerequisite to making lasting changes and comebacks. So I'm learning all this stuff and I'm like, man, what an interesting concept. And what's crazy is I know for a fact that women have been tapped into EQ for a long time, right? Expressing feelings, exploring feelings, that stuff is easy for them. Well, for most of them, I guess I should say. So for most of you that, you know, maybe don't know this yet, you know, I wrote a book on everything that I was learning, and I called it The Comeback Code, Unlock Emotional Intelligence for Men. You can pick it up on Amazon if you're interested. And as I wrote this, like I took these concepts, but then I started actually weaving in some of what I was going through in my personal life and these experiences and how these concepts played a part in my past and how they've begun to, you know, help me with my major shift in life towards the better. So at first, I thought that a good accompaniment for the book would be this podcast on inspirational comeback stories. And as you can see, we've started the podcast, right? But the more I shared this plan with others, the more I realized that there was an opportunity to play full out at a much bigger scale than what I had been originally thinking, right? The podcast turned into an idea to create a movement. And that movement is centered around a community or a network, if you will, of men on a mission to become better versions of themselves. So hopefully that's you listening in here. You know, men who have experienced or experiencing setbacks in their personal or their professional lives, and they're on their comeback journey. Like, this is for us. Now, I realize that this is a bold move, asking men to raise their hands and ask for help. So I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for you to tap in, see what we've got going on, see what we're building. In the next 30 days, we're actually going to be formally opening the doors to this mobile app that we've been created that's going to serve as a network for all of these things that we're trying to put together. Okay, so we're going to build something really awesome together. And the Comeback Kings is my vision. Yes, I'm the founder of it, but I envision that this network is going to be built by all of us, right? The mission is to raise the standard of men worldwide by helping them rise from adversity, rebuild with purpose, and then reign with strength. And we want to do all this through a foundation of emotional intelligence, healing, and personal growth. Okay, so that's our mission. And in the process of growing this network, we hope that we're going to change the stigma around masculinity and EQ and encourage more men to seek the power that we've got inside of the network. So connect with us in the community chat rooms where we'll be talking about still manly things, by the way, you know, stuff like sports betting and, you know, things that are exciting to men. We've got a merch line that continues to grow. And we are welcome to all collabs with that, by the way. We'll be connecting business innovators with investor opportunities. Okay, so for those of you that are either looking to invest or looking to get a business off the ground, we'll be talking about mental health and physical health as well. We'll be providing resources, trainings, so that we can level up. And then we're going to have special deals to celebrate this resurgence that we've got going on. So we'll be masterminding, strategizing on how to provide better lives financially for ourselves and for our families. And most of all, throughout this entire thing, like, we're going to be doing it together. Okay. I don't have all the answers with this. But I do know some pretty dope people, okay? And I can't wait for you to meet some of them inside of the app. And I can't wait to meet so many more men who can help us truly pour into each other and do better as a whole, okay? So if you haven't already, join our official launch contest that we've got going on right now underway at cbknetwork.com. Help us to get this thing jumping off in a great way, okay? We all deserve this, okay? So, yeah, I really just wanted to pop on here real quickly to tell you what we're up to and ask for your support in this mission, okay? Next week, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. I can't wait for you to hear this King's story. It's going to be great. But in the meantime, again, I appreciate you tapping in. Fellas, remember this. The Comeback Kings is more than a name. It's a code. Right? Rise, rebuild, reign. That's what it's all about. Your setbacks won't define you. Your comebacks will. Let's go.
That does it for another episode of the Comeback Kings podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a review, and come join the after party inside the app at cbknetwork.com. And remember, your past doesn't define you. Your comeback will.